What if the most sophisticated instrument you possess, your own brilliant mind, is the very thing creating the biggest blind spot in your life? What if the analytical prowess that allows you to deconstruct complex problems, to see the patterns in the chaos of the world, to advise friends with stunning clarity, is the same mechanism that renders you utterly blind to the most profound human experience? Love. You are the analyst, the strategist, the one who lives in the fortress of the mind, a sanctuary built brick by brick with logic, reason, and foresight. From your watchtower you observe the world, predicting its movements, understanding its machinations. You can spot a hidden agenda from a mile away. You can dissect a conversation and expose its subtext with surgical precision. People come to you for this clarity. They see you as stable, as insightful, as someone who has it all figured out. But inside the fortress, there's a quiet echo, a profound and unnerving silence in the one room you keep locked, the chamber of the heart. Your own emotional landscape is a map with vast, uncharted territories. You've likely experienced the frustration of this paradox. You see your friends stumble into love, a messy, beautiful, chaotic dance, and you analyze it. You see their missteps, their joys, their vulnerabilities. You could write a thesis on their relationship dynamics. Yet when it comes to your own life, the pages are blank. The effort you pour into your career, your self-development, your understanding of the world, never seems to translate into your romantic life. It feels like you're speaking a different language. You approach connection with the same tools you use for everything else: risk assessment, cost-benefit analysis, pattern recognition. But love refuses to be placed in a spreadsheet. It defies your algorithms. And so you stand back, a master of a game you are not playing, feeling a strange mixture of superiority and profound loneliness. You've concluded, perhaps, that you are simply not built for it, that your mind is too loud, your standards too high, your past too formative. You've accepted a life of sterile safety over the potential chaos of connection. Today, we are not going to attack that fortress. We are going to find the secret door. We are going to explore the subtle, almost invisible signs that your analytical mind has been systematically overriding, signs that love, either your own burgeoning feelings or the feelings of someone trying to reach you, is present. This isn't about changing who you are, it's about integrating a part of you that has been exiled. We will delve into the Jungian concept of the shadow, the unconscious repository of everything you've deemed illogical, weak, or dangerous. And we will find that it is precisely in this shadow that your capacity for deep, authentic love resides. By the end of our time together, you will have a new lens, one that allows you to see the whispers of the heart that your mind has been shouting over. You will learn to decode the signals you've been missing, not by abandoning your intellect, but by teaching it to listen. Let's begin with a truth that might feel counterintuitive. The first and most powerful sign that you, the analyst, are falling in love is not a feeling of warmth and joy. It is a feeling of intense, inexplicable irritation. Yes, irritation. Think of a person in your orbit, someone you respect perhaps, someone you work with or share a social circle with. Suddenly their habits become grating. The way they laugh a little too loudly, the way they use a particular phrase, the way they seem so unanalyzed. So spontaneous, so free, your mind, the great sorter and categorizer, flags this person as an anomaly, a disruption. The logical part of your brain scrambles to find reasons for this annoyance. They're unprofessional, they're emotionally undisciplined, their worldview is simplistic. You are building a case file against them and you believe you are being objective. But what is truly happening? This is the first cry of your shadow self. According to the great psychologist Carl Jung, the shadow contains all the aspects of ourselves that we have repressed. For the hyper-analytical person, what gets repressed? Spontaneity, emotional expression, vulnerability, messiness. The very qualities that this other person may be exhibiting so effortlessly. You are not annoyed with them, you are annoyed with the reflection they cast. They are a living, breathing embodiment of the parts of yourself you have locked away because you judge them as inefficient or unsafe. Your irritation is a form of psychological projection. Your unconscious mind is screaming, look, this is what you are missing. This is the part of you that is starving. But your conscious, analytical mind misinterprets this signal as a flaw in the other person. It's a defense mechanism. By finding fault in them, you justify keeping your own fortress walls high. Your intellect is trying to protect you from the danger of feeling, from the chaos of connection. So the next time you find yourself building a meticulous case against someone for no truly logical reason, pause, ask yourself, What quality do they possess that I have denied in myself? That irritation is not a red flag about them. It is a flare sent up from the deepest part of you, signaling a territory that longs to be explored. It is the first paradoxical sign that your heart is becoming engaged and your mind is terrified. This leads directly to the second sign, the creation of logical pretexts. Your analytical mind, having failed to completely push the person away with irritation, will switch tactics. It will now create impeccably logical, plausible reasons to be in their presence. It's a masterful act of self-deception. You won't admit to yourself, I just want to be around them. That's too raw, too simple, too vulnerable. Instead, your mind will construct a series of Trojan horses. Suddenly, you need their specific input on a work project, even though others could suffice. You decide they would be the perfect person to mentor, taking them under your wing to help them navigate their career. You orchestrate accidental run-ins at the coffee shop you know they frequent. You develop a sudden, intense interest in a hobby you know they love, framing it as your own intellectual curiosity. I've always wanted to understand 18th century pottery, you tell yourself, conveniently ignoring that this desire only surfaced after you learned it was their passion. Each of these actions is wrapped in the unassailable logic of productivity, networking, or self-improvement. You are not seeking them out for emotional reasons. You are engaging in a series of strategic, justifiable interactions. This is your persona, the polished, competent mask you show the world, working overtime to manage a situation that threatens its control. The persona cannot abide by the messy, unpredictable nature of attraction, so it reframes it. It turns a potential love interest into a project, a colleague, a case study. This allows you to interact with them, to get the proximity your unconscious craves without having to confront the terrifyingly simple truth. You are drawn to them. You are experiencing the gravitational pull of another soul. This behavior is a hallmark of the analyst's blind spot. You're so good at creating narratives that you begin to believe your own propaganda. You might even feel proud of your efficiency, finding ways to see this person while also achieving other goals. But this is the mind's sleight of hand. It's a way to touch the fire without admitting you are cold. If you find yourself constructing elaborate, multi-step logical justifications to see or speak to someone, you are not being a master strategist. You are a heart in hiding. The complexity of your excuses is directly proportional to the depth of the feeling you are trying to deny. The third sign is what can only be described as protective sabotage. This is perhaps the most painful and confusing sign, both for you and for the person on the receiving end. Things are going well, the irritation has subsided, the logical pretexts have worked, and you found a comfortable rhythm of interaction. You might even be enjoying yourself. A connection is forming. It feels warm, it feels nice, and that is precisely when you blow it up. Just as a true moment of vulnerability approaches, your internal threat detection system goes to DEFCON 1. The analytical mind, the guardian of your fortress, sees intimacy as the ultimate breach of security. So it deploys its most powerful weapon, sabotage. You will pick a fight over something trivial. You will magnify a small flaw in them into a fatal, relationship-ending defect. You will misinterpret a neutral comment as a devastating insult. You will suddenly become too busy and emotionally distant, retreating back into the cold safety of your work and your routines. You will ghost them, not out of malice, but out of sheer, overwhelming panic. This is the alchemy of fear. Your mind is taking the gold of a potential connection and desperately trying to turn it back into the lead of comfortable solitude. Why? Because solitude is known, it is predictable, it is safe. Love, on the other hand, requires surrender. It requires trusting another person with the keys to your fortress. For someone who has spent a lifetime building walls to protect themselves from past hurts, this feels like an act of insanity. The pain of a potential future rejection feels far more threatening than the dull, familiar ache of loneliness. So you sabotage. You create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You prove to yourself that connection is dangerous, that people will inevitably let you down, but you were the one who lit the fuse. You were the one who pushed them away. This isn't a sign that the relationship was doomed. It's a sign that you were becoming deeply invested. The intensity of your pushback is a measure of the intensity of your feelings. You don't bother sabotaging things you don't care about. You only protect what is precious. In a tragic paradox, you destroy the burgeoning connection to protect yourself from the pain of someday losing it. If you have a pattern of relationships that end abruptly just as they are getting good, you are not unlucky. You are a victim of your own overactive emotional security system. You are seeing the enemy at the gate, when in reality, it is a guest you are terrified to welcome in. Let's move from the mind to the body. The fourth sign is physiological betrayal. Your analytical mind may be a master of deception, but your body is a terrible liar. It is the one part of your domain that still answers to the unconscious, to the primal, ancient systems that predate logic and language. When you are in the presence of someone you are falling for, your body will betray your carefully constructed composure. You who prides yourself on being unflappable will find yourself blushing for no reason. Your heart rate will accelerate when they walk into a room, a sudden thumping in your chest that you might try to dismiss as too much caffeine. Your breath will catch. You might find your palms sweating or a slight tremor in your hands as you reach for your coffee cup. You might even feel a strange, buoyant energy, a lightness in your limbs, or conversely, a leaden weight, a kind of gravitational pull toward them. Your analytical mind will immediately try to pathologize these symptoms. I'm having an anxiety attack. I must be getting sick. I'm just stressed from work. It will grasp for any explanation other than the obvious one. Because to admit that another person can have this profound, involuntary effect on your physical being is to admit a total loss of control. It is the ultimate vulnerability. Your body is communicating in a pre-verbal language, a language of pure failing, and your mind is trying to drown it out with a clinical diagnosis. Pay attention to these physiological betrayals. They are raw, unfiltered data from your deepest self. They are messages from your inner child, the part of you that feels excitement, fear, and joy without the need for a logical framework. When your body reacts before your mind has a chance to build a narrative, listen to it. It is telling you a truth that your intellect is not yet ready to hear. It is showing you where your energy is flowing, where your life force is being drawn. Your body's involuntary responses are a compass needle pointing directly at the source of your burgeoning love. We have seen how the fortress of the mind defends itself, how it projects, rationalizes, and sabotages. We've seen how the body betrays this defense with its own raw truth. This is the fundamental conflict of the analyst in love, the battle between the curated persona and the authentic self, between the fear of the unknown and the soul's deep yearning for connection. Recognizing these signs, the irritation, the logical pretexts, the protective sabotage, and the physiological betrayal, is the first step toward a truce. It is the beginning of integrating your brilliant mind with your profound heart. But there is another realm where the unconscious speaks even more freely, a realm your analytical mind struggles to control, the world of dreams. What happens when the person you are trying to keep at an arm's length begins to invade your sleep? The fifth sign is the persistent appearance of this person in your dreamscape, and rarely will it be straightforward. The unconscious speaks in symbols and metaphors. The person might not appear as themselves. They might appear as a mysterious guide leading you through a dark forest. They might be the one who hands you a key to a locked door in your childhood home. They might be a source of light in a chaotic landscape, or conversely, a disruptive force in a peaceful one. The analytical mind has a tendency to dismiss dreams as random neural firings, the brain's nightly defragmentation process. You might wake up, remember the dream, and think, "How strange," before immediately discarding it as meaningless. But in Jungian psychology, dreams are direct communications from the unconscious. They are the shadow's attempt to bring to light what the conscious mind is ignoring. If this person consistently appears in your dreams, your unconscious is trying to process your feelings about them. It is running simulations, exploring possibilities, and trying to integrate their energy into your psyche. Pay attention to the feeling of the dream. Do you feel safe with them, challenged, rescued, threatened? The emotional tone of the dream is more important than the literal plot. They might represent a quality you need to integrate. If they are a source of light, they may represent the joy and spontaneity you are lacking. If they are a disruptive force, they might represent the necessary chaos needed to break you out of a stagnant life pattern. Your unconscious has selected them as the carrier, the symbol, for a crucial part of your own individuation journey, the process of becoming whole. Don't analyze the dream with your usual logic. That's like trying to translate poetry with a calculator. Instead, sit with the imagery, journal about it. What does a key mean to you? What does that childhood home represent? The dream is a personalized, encrypted message from your soul. The recurring presence of this specific person is the signature on that message. It is a sign that on the deepest level of your being, you are already profoundly engaged with them, whether your waking mind is ready to admit it or not. Let's talk about focus. The sixth sign is a disruption in your cognitive flow. You, the analyst, pride yourself on your ability to concentrate, to enter a state of deep work and solve complex problems. Your mind is your instrument and you keep it finely tuned, but lately it's been malfunctioning. You'll be in the middle of writing a critical report and their face will flash in your mind's eye. You'll be analyzing a data set and you'll find yourself replaying your last conversation with them. They have become an intrusive thought, a beautiful piece of malware that has bypassed your mental firewalls. You can't seem to maintain your usual laser focus. Your productivity might even dip. Your first reaction will be frustration. You will see this as a weakness, a failure of discipline. You will try to double down to force your mind back on track, to exorcise their image from your consciousness. You might work longer hours, take on more complex tasks, anything to crowd them out. But it won't work. The more you try to push them away, the more insistently they will appear. This is not a failure of your intellect. It is a reallocation of your psychic energy. Your unconscious mind has deemed this connection to be of vital importance, and it is diverting resources to it. It's like a computer that suddenly starts running slow because a massive, critical update is being downloaded in the background. You are not losing your edge. You are undergoing a profound internal upgrade. Your system is being rewritten to accommodate a new, powerful variable: love. The fact that you can't stop thinking about them is not a sign of obsession or distraction in the negative sense. It is a sign that your entire being is grappling with a new, life-altering reality. Your mind, the master problem solver, has encountered a problem it cannot solve with logic alone, the problem of the heart. And it will continue to churn, to process, to analyze this problem from every angle until you finally acknowledge what it truly is: not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. Your broken focus is a sign that your heart has hijacked the control panel of your mind, and it is refusing to relinquish it until its presence is acknowledged. Now let's consider how you talk about them. The seventh sign is what I call the neutral positive spin. When friends or colleagues bring up this person in conversation, a curious thing happens. You, the master of critique and objective analysis, suddenly become a PR agent. You won't gush, you won't say, "I think they're amazing." That would be far too transparent, too vulnerable. Instead, you will offer carefully curated, objective-sounding praise. If someone criticizes them, you will find yourself subtly defending them, not with emotion, but with logic. Well, if you look at the context of their decision, it actually makes sense. I think people misunderstand their communication style. It's actually quite efficient. They have a lot of potential. They just need the right opportunity. You become their unsolicited, unpaid advocate. You find yourself wanting other people to see them the way you see them, or at least the way your unconscious sees them. You are polishing their image in the eyes of the world because their value has become linked to your own. This is a subtle form of projection. By defending their worth, you are defending your own burgeoning feelings for them. If they are seen as valuable, intelligent, and competent by others, it gives your analytical mind permission to be interested in them. It validates the choice your heart is trying to make. Listen to yourself the next time their name comes up. Do you find yourself rushing to explain their behavior, to frame their actions in the best possible light? Do you feel a small internal sting when someone speaks ill of them? This is your loyalty being tested. You are no longer an objective observer. You have chosen a side, whether you've admitted it to yourself or not. You have become a guardian of their reputation because somewhere deep inside, you know that their story is becoming intertwined with your own. So we've journeyed through the internal landscape of the analyst. We've seen the paradoxical irritation, the creation of logical excuses, the impulse to sabotage, the body's raw betrayal, the invasion of the dreamscape, the fracturing of focus, and the subtle defense of their reputation. These are the footprints of a love that the conscious mind is refusing to see. It's like a detective who is investigating a mystery, collecting all the clues but refusing to name the culprit, because the culprit is, in fact, himself. But what happens when you start to recognize these signs? What is the next step? It is to understand the deeper meaning behind this blindness. Your inability to see love is not a personal failing. It is a deeply ingrained survival strategy, likely born from past experiences where vulnerability led to pain. Your analytical mind became your protector, your shield. It promised you that if you could just think your way through life, if you could control all the variables, you would never be hurt again. And it kept that promise at a cost. The cost was a life lived in the sterile safety of the fortress, a life devoid of the messy, unpredictable, and soul-altering experience of love. The journey of the analyst is the journey of individuation. It is the process of realizing that the protector has become the prison guard. It is the slow, courageous process of teaching that guard that it is safe to open the gates. So how do you begin to lower the drawbridge? Start by simply observing these signs within yourself without judgment. When you feel the irritation, don't lash out. Simply say to yourself, "Ah, there it is, my shadow is speaking." When you find yourself creating a complex reason to see them, smile and acknowledge, "There's my mind working so hard to protect me." By observing without judgment, you create a space between the feeling and the reaction. In that space, a new choice becomes possible. Consider this: when was the last time you allowed yourself to do something without knowing the outcome? Something just for the sheer joy or curiosity of it, without a strategic goal attached. For the analyst, this is a revolutionary act. The next sign, the eighth, involves a shift in your perception of the future. For most of your life, you have likely planned your future as a solo project. You have career goals, financial plans, travel aspirations, all meticulously laid out for one person. The analyst is a master architect of their own life. But when you are falling in love, a crack appears in this architectural blueprint. You will find yourself, for a fleeting moment, imagining them in your future. It will happen unconsciously. You'll see a poster for a concert in 6 months and think, "I wonder if they would like that," before your conscious mind shuts it down with, "Why would I think that? That's ridiculous." You'll be looking at a travel blog about Italy and a picture of them smiling will flash in your mind. You'll be thinking about a long-term career move to another city and feel a sudden, unexpected pang of reluctance, a reluctance that you can't logically explain. This is your deep self, your soul, beginning to weave another person into the tapestry of your life. It's doing this without your permission. Your carefully constructed 5-year plan is being silently edited by your heart. At first, you will resist this fiercely. The idea of another person altering your trajectory is terrifying. It represents a massive loss of control. The analyst's identity is often deeply tied to their autonomy, their self-sufficiency. To factor someone else into your grand design feels like a compromise, a weakening of your resolve. But this isn't a compromise, it's an expansion. Your soul is not trying to shrink your life to accommodate another person. It's trying to show you how much bigger your life could be. The pang of reluctance at the thought of moving is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you have found something or someone worth staying for. The fleeting thoughts of including them in future plans are not sentimental daydreams. They are postcards from a possible future, a future that might be richer and more meaningful than the one you so carefully planned alone. When you notice these flashes, don't crush them. Let them linger for a moment. They are the first sketches of a new life, a life where I begins to learn the beautiful, terrifying grammar of we. This leads to a change in your own vulnerability, which is the 9th sign. The analyst typically maintains a carefully controlled emotional firewall. You share information, not feelings. You discuss ideas, not insecurities. With this person, however, you will notice the firewall beginning to glitch. You might find yourself sharing a small, personal story from your childhood that you haven't told anyone in years. You might admit to a minor insecurity or a moment of self-doubt. You might ask them for help with something, a crack in your armor of self-sufficiency. These acts will feel incredibly risky, like stepping off a cliff, and immediately after, your analytical mind will go into damage control. Why did I say that? That was unprofessional. Now they'll think I'm weak. You will feel a wave of what is often called a vulnerability hangover. But these small disclosures are not mistakes. They are tests. Your unconscious is sending out a probe, a feeler, into the world. It is testing the waters to see if it is safe to be seen. You are, without realizing it, asking a silent question. If I show you a small, unpolished piece of myself, will you still accept me? Will you handle it with care? How they respond to these moments is critical. If they listen with empathy, if they reciprocate with a small vulnerability of their own, if they simply hold the space without judgment, a new neural pathway begins to form in your brain. A pathway that says vulnerability does not always equal pain. Connection might be safe. Each time you share a small piece of your true self and are met with acceptance, you are laying another stone in the foundation of trust. You are slowly, carefully teaching your inner protector that not everyone is a threat. These tiny, terrifying acts of self-revelation are the most courageous steps you will take. They are a sign that you are ready to be known, not just admired for the perfection of your fortress. The 10th sign is a change in your energetic state. The analyst often lives in their head. Life is a series of mental chess moves. It can be exhausting, leading to a state of chronic, low-grade fatigue. You are constantly on, constantly processing, constantly managing. But you will notice that after spending time with this person, something shifts. You might leave a conversation with them feeling lighter, more energized. The constant hum of your analytical mind might quiet down for a little while. You might feel a sense of peace, a feeling of being at home that you can't quite explain. Conversely, if you are in the early stages of irritation and resistance, you might feel completely drained by them because the internal conflict they trigger is so energetically expensive. But as you move past that initial resistance, the predominant feeling will be one of replenishment. This is because a true heart connection is not a drain on your energy, it is a source of it. When you are with someone who allows you to step out of your analytical persona and just be, you are no longer spending all your energy maintaining the fortress walls. You are allowing energy to flow in. This person is not giving you energy in a mystical sense. Rather, their presence creates a space where your own energy, which is usually tied up in mental defenses and intellectual performance, is liberated. You feel lighter because you have, for a moment, set down the heavy shield of your intellect. You feel peaceful because you have stopped fighting the internal war between your head and your heart. This feeling of being energized and at ease in their presence is one of the most reliable signs that you are in a resonant connection. Your body and your spirit are telling you that this is good for you, even if your mind is still catching up. Let's discuss the phenomenon of synchronicity. The 11th sign is an increase in meaningful coincidences related to this person. This is where the analytical mind truly rebels as it enters a territory that defies conventional logic and probability. Suddenly, you'll be thinking of them and they will text you at that exact moment. You'll mention an obscure book you love and they will tell you they just finished reading it. You'll have a song stuck in your head that reminds you of them, and you'll get in your car and it will be the first song playing on the radio. The city you live in will suddenly feel small, and you'll start bumping into them in the most unlikely of places. The analytical mind will scream confirmation bias. It will argue that you are simply noticing these things more because they are on your mind, and to some extent that is true. But Carl Jung had a different term for this, synchronicity. He defined it as an acausal connecting principle, where two or more events are meaningfully related but not causally related. It's the universe winking at you. For the analyst who is falling in love, these synchronicities are like little breadcrumbs left by the unconscious, leading you toward a truth you are resisting. They are external affirmations of an internal reality. Your inner world and the outer world are starting to mirror each other, to align in a way that is hard to ignore. When you are on the right path, when you are moving toward a connection that is part of your soul's journey, the universe often seems to conspire to give you little nudges, little signs that say, yes, pay attention to this. This is important. Instead of dismissing these events as mere coincidence, try a different approach. See them as invitations, invitations to be curious, invitations to believe that there might be more at play in the universe than just cause and effect. For the analyst, embracing the possibility of synchronicity is a radical act. It is an act of faith in a mystery that cannot be proven by a spreadsheet. These meaningful coincidences are a sign that you are so tuned into this person's frequency that you are beginning to notice the subtle harmonies between your life and theirs. The 12th sign is what I call informational hoarding. The analyst is a researcher at heart. When a topic piques your interest, you go deep. You read everything you can, you learn the history, you understand the mechanics. You will begin to do this with this person, but you will disguise it as something else. You'll find yourself scrolling through their social media, not in a stalkerish way, but in a research-oriented way. You're not just looking at pictures, you're gathering data. What books do they read? What are their political views? What kind of music do they like? Who are their friends? You are building a psychological profile, a dossier. You tell yourself you are just being thorough, that you do this with all new colleagues or acquaintances. But this goes beyond professional curiosity. You will remember tiny details from conversations you had with them weeks or even months ago. You'll remember the name of their childhood pet, the story about their grandmother, their favorite kind of coffee. Your mind, which might forget where you put your keys, becomes a steel trap for any and all information related to them. This informational hoarding is your analytical mind trying to gain control over a situation that feels emotionally out of control. If you can understand them completely, if you can map out their entire psyche, then perhaps they won't be so unpredictable. Perhaps you can anticipate their moves and protect yourself from being caught off guard. It's an attempt to turn a person into a system that can be understood and mastered. Of course, this is an illusion. You can never fully know another person. But the impulse to try, the sheer amount of mental energy you are dedicating to researching them, is a colossal sign of your investment. You don't dedicate this level of deep dive research to things that don't matter to you. The fact that you're so hungry for information about them reveals a deeper hunger for connection with them. Your intellectual curiosity has become a proxy for your emotional curiosity. You are studying the map because you are terrified and thrilled by the prospect of visiting the territory. We've covered a vast internal terrain, from the subtle whispers of the body to the grand conspiracies of the universe. The irritation, the excuses, the sabotage, the dreams, the broken focus, the advocacy, the imagined futures, the terrifying steps toward vulnerability, the shifts in energy, the synchronicities, and the informational hoarding. Each of these is a clue. A single clue can be dismissed, but when you see them all together, a pattern emerges. It is the pattern of a heart coming online, and a mind that is doing everything in its power to deny it. The final and most definitive sign, the one that underpins all the others, is a profound feeling of being seen. This is the 13th sign. For the analyst, who spends so much time observing others from the watchtower of the mind, it is a rare and startling experience to feel that someone's gaze has penetrated your defenses and is seeing the real you. This person may not even be aware they are doing it, but in conversation with them you feel a sense of recognition. They don't just listen to your words, they seem to understand the subtext. They laugh at your dry analytical humor in a way that shows they get the complex thought process behind it. They might challenge your logic in a way that isn't dismissive, but rather shows that they have truly engaged with your ideas. They see your competence, but they don't seem to be intimidated by it. They might even gently poke fun at your overly analytical nature in a way that feels endearing, not critical. To be truly seen is to have someone acknowledge both your persona, the brilliant analyst, and catch a glimpse of the shadow, the vulnerable, feeling human being behind it, and not run away. For someone who has used their intellect as a shield for so long, this is a profoundly disarming experience. It feels both terrifying and like a deep exhale you didn't know you were holding. This feeling of being seen is what ultimately makes the fortress walls feel less like a sanctuary and more like a prison. This person's perception of you provides a glimpse of what life could be like outside those walls. It's a taste of the wholeness that the journey of individuation promises. They are not trying to tear down your walls. Their acceptance is simply showing you that you no longer need them as much as you thought you did. This is the key that unlocks the door. All the other signs, the irritation, the sabotage, are your reactions to this fundamental, terrifying, and beautiful experience of being seen for who you truly are. It is the one thing your analytical mind cannot rationalize away. It is a feeling, a deep resonance that signals the end of your solitude and the beginning of a connection that has the power to transform your entire life. So the journey is not about becoming less analytical. It is not about abandoning your brilliant mind. It is about expanding your definition of data. It is about learning to accept the data from your body, your dreams, your energy, and your heart with the same seriousness that you accept the data from a spreadsheet. It is about courageously integrating your shadow, embracing the messiness of being human, and allowing yourself to be seen. The analyst's blind spot is not a permanent condition. It is a curable form of blindness, and the cure is learning to trust the wisdom of your own heart. Look at the landscape of your life, at the intricate fortress you have built. Where have you constructed a wall where a bridge was desperately needed? What is the one single stone you could choose to remove from that wall, starting today? The greatest analysis you will ever conduct is not of the world outside, but of the universe within. The journey to love is the journey back to your own wholeness, and for you, it has just begun.